Jess, let's talk about body image in the queer community. How do you see this showing up right now?
Right now, I think there's such a dichotomy between what we're supposed to look like in the queer community to fit in, to feel like we belong, and also to make sure that we're kind of on top of the hierarchy. So there's a lot of kind of almost instability with our bodies. We see this everywhere. There's kind of like body dysmorphic understandings of what we're supposed to look like. We will see that in many different populations. But in the queer community, we'll see it with making sure we've dressed a certain way, making sure we look a certain way. We have a certain amount for men muscles and a leanness. But we also see it a lot with youth, wanting to look young and spending a lot of money on practices that can help with that, which in and of themselves are not bad to do. But when I think it's perpetuated by this aspect of, I need to do this to fit in, to be loved, to be accepted, I think that's when I notice my clients in my office coming to me for help, to say, I don't want to be seen out today. And in pride, I think that this really comes to a head, because going to the parties, the parades, and not looking that idealized body shape can be really silencing.
Absolutely. This big expectation around how we dress and show up, and that we fit either within kind of an idealized standard of bodies or at least within a sub-community.
Yeah.
So that, like, I'm part of the group of the skinny queens. I'm part of the bears. And that each different group has its own expectations for what your body is supposed to be like. And it's a lot of pressure.
Be a lot of pressure. Even the term like lipstick lesbian can really almost create an understanding of who that person is based on appearance. And again, we see this everywhere, but to start to recognize how this is impacting the community, recognizing how image is so important and can actually kind of subjugate the body is something I'm really passionate about, especially when I'm working with body dysmorphia.
Yeah, absolutely. And I noticed this coming up with gender as well, that there's expectations around how trans people are supposed to look. The experience of needing to pass, needing to be femme, and that's not the authentic experience of all trans folks.
No.
And non-binary folks like myself, there's often an expectation that we look androgynous, or that we're always doing something that's boldly gender-defying, when that may or may not be how we actually express ourselves on the day-to-day.
And can you still have that identity if you're not falling in line with that image? Oh, interesting.
And while it's clear to us that absolutely your identity is your identity, there is an expectation to perform that identity, especially in certain spaces like Pride.
Yep. We need to talk about this. We need to have this be something that we address. And being able to have a space like therapy where you can address it, where there's a safe space for you to talk about identity, is so important. Because our bodies do and are the focal point. They're the first thing we see in one another. And with schemas and stereotypes and assumptions, that can be incredibly isolating to your experience, to trans experiences, and to how we are accepted in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when and whether we're safe as well. Whether you present the way society expects you to. Often determines safety for folks.
And how can we create a world that can be safe? I think it's by having conversations about what this looks like. Yeah. And recognizing that if you do have body dysmorphia, if you are wanting to understand gender expression, and if you're just angry and frustrated with this, find a safe space to talk about it. Because one of the worst things that can happen is that we bottle it up and we internalize that body shame. You don't need to. And there are therapists, especially at Centered Self, but anywhere, that are really willing, wanting to help you in that journey.
Thank you for joining our conversation about body image at Pride. We'll be sharing more videos like this throughout the month of June, and we would love to hear from you in the comments section. Thanks.
Bye.